friends, and welcome back to Sunshine and Serenity. And today we are talking food inflation, right? So we have had a crazy last couple of years, and we are still fighting prices and inflation both at the pump and the grocery store. So today I'm going to share with you 10 tips, 10 things that you can do to fight food inflation so that you can save more and spend less. You ready? Let's go. So if you are new to my channel, I am so excited that you're here. We are a homesteading family. This is our very first adventure on our very first homestead that we are sharing with you guys, and I share tips and tricks and just what we're doing in our everyday lives here on the homestead. So if that interests you, if you want to give this video a like, if you want to like and subscribe to our channel, and then also hit the bell for notifications. That way you're notified every time we post a new video and new content. We would be so excited to have you here. Okay, so inflation is no joke, right? So it has been rough, and it's just steadily going up. We see no end in sight, right? So I'm going to share with you guys 10 things that you can do so that you can still save money and spend a little bit less on that food bill. First of all, I would encourage you guys to be building your pantry, to be stocking up on food and medicine and supplies and things. That way you have it in case of an emergency. If something were to ever happen, you have that backup. So I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and start building your pantry and your backup food supply if you haven't already done that. I would also encourage you to grow a garden if you can, however that looks. Containers in the ground, whether you live in the city or you have land, I would definitely encourage doing that as well. All right, so the very first thing that I'm going to share with you, so I guess tip number 1 is to learn to cook from scratch. So it is such a valuable skill to learn in the kitchen, to learn how to cook things from scratch. Not only is it a valuable skill to have if you ever need it, it also will save you money. And what I mean by that is, so this right here is a bag of flour. But do you know what all you can do with a bag of flour? So can you make bread? Do you know how to make biscuits? Do you know how to make pizza crust? All kinds of things can be made from just this one bag of flour. So you can buy you a big bag of flour and be able to make all your own breads, pastries. There's a lot you can do with this bag of flour, but if you don't know how to do it, it's not very useful unless you have that skill to be able to use that bag of flour. So tip number 1 from me would be to learn to cook from scratch. It not only tasty, it'll save you money because you're not buying all these just convenient ingredients because you already know how to make them yourselves. So that's one thing I would encourage you to do is my tip number 1, learn to cook from scratch. All right, tip number 2, shop your local store sales and clearance. So this requires being flexible and not being brand loyal. What I mean by that is we are not a name brand household. We do not only eat name brand foods. We actually only eat what I can get clearance on sale with coupons, things like that. So we are not a brand loyal family. And in order to save the most money, you have to be able and willing to actually eat other brands other than name brand. So many local stores run sales in conjunction with a lot of them also have digital coupons on those sale items. So what you want to do is when you run across sales on things, you want to stock up on those items. You want to be able to buy enough of that item that you're not going to have to buy that item again until it goes on sale again. That way you're not paying full price. Another thing is clearance. So a lot of stores have clearance sections. I know my local store, I shop mainly at Kroger here in Central Arkansas. I know my local Kroger store, they have a clearance produce section where they clearance produce. They have a clearance aisle, and then they also have clearance stickers like in their meat section. They have clearance up and down the aisles. Closeout items that they're not planning on carrying anymore will go really low price. So always make sure you're checking out those sales and clearance prices. You can also get an idea of when those things clearance by shopping on a regular basis. So I know for me that on Sundays is when my meat section and my deli section and the cold areas always clearance their meats and their yogurts and things like that are not going to last much longer, or they have to have a sell by date. And so I will actually shop those things and throw it in the freezer. Like the meat, I'll just throw it in the freezer and things like that. So that's tip number 2, shop your sales and your clearance. Okay, my third tip is learn to preserve. Now, what I mean by that is there are a lot of things that you can buy that are in bulk, but if you don't know how to keep those items or you don't know how to preserve those items, it doesn't really do you any good. So an example for this would be at my local Kroger store just the other day, we had pineapples go on sale, whole pineapples for 99 cents a pineapple. So I bought several of those pineapples, and I in turn turned around and I canned that pineapple, and then I'm also canning some pineapple jelly from the leftover cores. So if you're not familiar with how to preserve, that is another amazing skill to have along with cooking from scratch, because you're able to make the most out of your items when they do go on sale. So learning how to can, how to dehydrate, how to keep those items in different ways so that you can prolong that shelf life and also save the most money. All right, my tip number 4 is to shop local. So what I mean by that is shopping your local stores, yes, but also your local farms and your local farmers. So here in the area, we have 2 local farms that actually sell produce and that they grow throughout the year. And a lot of times we can find really good deals on bulk produce. And then in turn, if you know how to preserve it, you can buy those. So a lot of times I can get, big bags of ears of corn. I can get a big box of okra, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So shopping local, your local farmers markets, your local CSAs, your local farms, buying items like that locally, you can usually get a really good deal on those things, especially when that produce is in season. So that would be my next tip. Tip number 4, shop local. All right, my tip number 5 is to buy in bulk. So many people know that when you buy in bulk, you usually get the most savings. So buying in bulk can oftentimes save you money, and then you also have more for long term. So one of the places that you can buy in bulk online and have shipped to you is Azure Standard, and that's where I get a lot of my bulk grains, like my flours and things like that. But they also have bulk produce, and they are a really great company, so check them out online, Azure Standard. So this is bulk marinara sauce. Now, I'm not going to, and my family's not going to be able to eat, how much is this? 6 pounds of marinara sauce in one sitting. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this and using those skills that I learned how to preserve, and I'm breaking these into smaller jars, and I'm recanning them to go on my shelf. But buying in bulk and then in turn using those skills that I talked about will save you the most money at the store. Buying big bags of flour, big bags of sugar, and being able to store those in airtight buckets and containers. You will always have that stuff on hand when you need it to in turn use when you're cooking from scratch, right? That other skill that I told you is great to have handy to learn. So buy in bulk. So there are many bulk stores around the area, but a lot of times you can get a lot better deals when you buy in bulk. Okay, my next thing would be number 6 would be to combine your local sales and deals with coupons. So a lot of stores nowadays have online digital coupons. I know that Kroger does. That's where I do mainly my shopping. But a lot of times when you combine these sales with your coupons, you are going to get a better price. And just because there's a coupon for something doesn't mean it's a good deal. So you have to look at the price. You got to kind of track and know your prices and what the normal bottom sell price is for that item, and then go off of that, because just because it's got a coupon doesn't mean it's a good deal. If you're only saving 2 cents. It's really, and for a name brand product, but then you have the off-brand product. Like, for example, macaroni and cheese. So Kraft macaroni and cheese was on sale at my local Kroger, 5 for $1. But the off-brand Kroger brand macaroni and cheese is 69 cents every day. So you have to look at those prices. You have to look at the sizes of your items and see what's a better deal. So, but that would be my next tip would be combine your deals and your sales with coupons. Okay. Tip number 7. So tip number 7 is to learn from history. Now, what I mean by that is we are not the first generation to go through hard times, very similar times to what we're seeing now. We are not the first to go through that. So we can learn a lot from what our great-great-great-grandparents did and what our ancestors did. We can learn a lot from them. So research. Look back into what things they did during that Great Depression era. We can learn so many valuable insights and information and even skills that we didn't even know that we needed in order to help us through this time. So we can learn a lot from the past. So do a lot of research, learn what they did in the Great Depression, what they did when times were hard to make it stretch, and that will help you also in the times that we are heading into now. Okay, my next one would be number 8, get creative. So what I mean by that is learn to use all of your leftovers. Don't let them go bad. That's going to save you, money, on your food. Learn to make meals that don't require fancy ingredients. So make simple meals. Eat a lot of the same thing. I know it's not fun to eat the same thing over and over again, but cheap meals that you can make on a regular basis that everybody will eat, that is going to save you money in the long run because you're not running to the grocery store to get 12 different ingredients to try a new recipe, right? So that would be my next tip would be get creative, stay simple, use what you have, reuse what you have, find new ways to use leftovers, eat leftovers. Just all those things combined together will help you waste less food, save money, and not have to buy it as often, right? Okay, my next tip, number 9, is to keep an inventory of what you have. So that way you can restock things before you run out, especially when things go on sale. So I have a general idea of what all I have, but I always make sure to keep an extra eye on those things like my flours, my sugars, like my dried goods, a lot of my canning things. So I will keep an inventory going of those things so that before I run out, I always keep a back stock of that stuff. So that way, if something were to ever happen and you can't get an item, you have plenty of it. Same thing goes with all of my canning and preserving. I can every year the same things that I can the previous year, rotate my pantry, and that way I always have those items. So it's a good idea to know what you have, and then that way you can replenish it before it runs out. And my very last tip number 10, which is probably one of my favorites, is if you can, get some food in the ground. Grow a garden, raise some animals, hunt, fish, do whatever you can to be more self-sustainable. We are heading into a very uncertain time. We are heading into a time where we haven't really seen in our generation. We haven't really seen, I know I haven't seen it growing up. I know, I didn't grow up with these skills and wanting to do this and these dreams and desires. That's just not something that was furthest from my mind. It was never something that I thought me or my kids would experience. But yet here we are. So I was highly stressed that even if you can't grow an in-ground garden, grow something in pots, grow you some herbs, grow you, things that you use on a regular basis so that you can learn those skills now, and you can perfect those skills to where you are able to have the knowledge and the know-how to grow your own food when times get hard. So I would highly encourage you, if you can, grow a garden, grow you some food, put some plants in the ground, put some plants in a pot, raise you some animals. I mean, there are ways you can raise animals in the city, in your garage, rabbits, quail. Like if you hunt and fish, that's a good way to be able to put meat in your freezer. It's just we're heading into very uncertain times, and it now is the time to be prepared with skills, with your pantry, with your supplies. Now is the time to be prepared, because if something ever happens and we continue going into the hard times that it is forecasted that we are going into, you're going to need every skill. You're going to need every bit of, independence and knowing how to be self-sufficient that you can. So I stress that. That is one of the things that I want to get across on my channel, is that it is so important, especially with our broken food supply and our broken food system. It is so important for you to learn to be as self-sufficient as you can wherever you are. You may not be in a place that you can have 2 in-ground gardens and chickens and cattle or cows or any of that stuff, but there's something that you can do and get started where you're at. So I encourage you to do that. Get started. It's not too late. Get started, because you won't regret it. We are going into some very crazy and uncertain times, and having just that little bit of certainty, even if it's in one area of your life, is so important. So I would highly encourage that with you. So all right, well, that's all I have. Those are my 10 tips for being able to spend less and save more. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and a thumbs up. Let me know what you're doing in your household. Let me know if there's anything that I missed that you would like to add to this list to help other people. And then let me know what you guys are doing on your homestead, or where you are, to prepare for some very uncertain times ahead. It's always good to be prepared, not out of fear, but out of wisdom, right? So God gives us wisdom. He gives us knowledge to be able to prepare. If you look at people in the Bible, Mary and Noah, they all prepared, right? And God gave them that wisdom to be able to prepare for what was coming. So I highly encourage you to prepare for what is coming, out of wisdom for your family and out of wisdom for being more self-sustainable in a very uncertain and crazy world. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time, friends. Y'all have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to y'all later. All right, bye.